Greetings, my friends. Today I want to share the impact that Micah chapters 3 and 4 have had on me. I truly want to stress this truth. There is a holy weight in silence. When justice fades, heaven seems quiet. Not because God has forgotten, but because hearts have. Micah stood before the leaders of his people and asked, "Is it not for you to know justice, you who hate good and love evil?" He wasn't shouting in anger. He was pleading with sorrow. He saw power used for profit, faith twisted for favor. And he knew that when compassion is lost, the soul of a nation trembles. The thought going through my mind was how often I feel this same ache. Please, Heavenly God, help me to deal with this turmoil. Micah painted his grief in fire and bone. They tear the flesh of my people. They break their bones and chop them in pieces. This was not about flesh. It was about faith devoured. The shepherds had become wolves. Those entrusted to protect the weak were feeding upon them instead. How does this vision impact my heart? I recognize Micah's anguish as something I witness all too frequently. What must I do to help the weak? I pray for the strength to heal and not to harm, and lift others truly. Micah warned that when the cries of the broken rise, then they will cry to the Lord, but he will not answer. Not because he is cruel, but because the echo of mercy cannot dwell in hearts that silenced it. And so, the city that once gleamed with promise became a field of ruin. Not by God's rage, but by human greed. I look to heaven and pray this never becomes me. I pray that the greed impacting many in our nation does not consume me or others I love. Please, may I never turn away from you, Lord. Zion shall be plowed like a field. Jerusalem shall become a heap of ruins. That verse lands heavy. But in the dust of devastation, Micah's voice did not end. Even as judgment fell, hope began to stir. The prophet saw beyond the rubble, to a light not made by human hands. In the last days, the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established above the hills, and peoples shall flow to it. Where greed had ruled, grace would reign. Where voices were silenced, songs would rise again. From every nation, hearts would return to the one who never abandoned them. Micah saw what brokenness could not erase: the promise of restoration. We live in that tension still, between ruin and renewal. We see the same temptations of power, the same hunger for gain, and yet the same invitation to walk humbly with our God. Let our faith not be transactional, but transformative. Let our hands feed, not consume. And when we speak of justice, let it sound like mercy, because love, real, radiant love, is still the only voice that can silence corruption. May we learn from Micah and let our lives become His echo.